And let's just get started. I think we've got an interesting class. And I'm calling it Pointing Fingers because I just started to have all these examples that I'm seeing of us pointing fingers at folks and just trying to understand what that is and how it happens and how it's just really pretty easy to do to point fingers, right? It's easier. Every religious tradition, every spiritual tradition has an assessment of this and points it out as particularly problematic. That we point a finger out at other people and three are coming back at us, and don't cast stones in other people's houses unless you cast them on your own, or like splinters in people's eyeballs and stuff. I don't know. There are a whole bunch of things that are out there, but in any case, you get it, right? So I came up with this. Why don't we? I we can bring can we bring Connor on? And the first thing that I want to talk about is we all probably watch the news and of this yet another shooting, right? I mean, they're just this is the U.S. I mean, this is what happens here. I don't understand it. I don't try to understand it. I'm not. I'm unnerved by it, but if you're following the news from Colorado, hey, by the way, why don't we do this? Can you bring Connor onto this to the stream? Okay, and do you? Yep. Okay, so hey, Connor, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm rocking and rolling. Yeah, rocking and rolling. So did you follow the news coming out of Colorado?
I got a few updates on my phone, but like I didn't really look into it. I think it was like a 21-year-old. I think he shot like 10 people or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you see anything? Hey, did you see anything about him?
No,
You
I
know,
didn't look into it at all.
okay, all right, okay. Well, we're going to talk about that. But hey, first off, can we just do the first top hat question really fast? It's going to be up in just 15 seconds. Numero uno for top hat. So, hey, can you just go ahead and put his name up on the stream? And Connor, you have the stream going, right?
I do.
Yeah. All right. You can like pop that. Uh, so this is his name. All right, 21-year-old young man, and don't know anything else about him. All right. So Connor, so what are you thinking about when you see his name? Right. What are you thinking about? Like what comes to mind? Just
Um, I think maybe he's from the Middle East, originally. Um,
mhm. You can bring Connor back on, by the way. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, what else? What else are you thinking about?
I don't know. Maybe it was like, I'm not sure. Like I just think that maybe he's from the Middle East and maybe like he was like targeting somebody or some, group
Yeah. So
possibly.
listen. So here's the thing. Um, don't be politically correct. Don't worry about being racist or ethnocentric or anything like that. Like that's not what this is about, right? This is really very much data collection. Just so you're just an average American man, white American man. Okay.
Okay.
What do
Well,
you
then an
so
average American man would probably say he would probably think that it was an act of terrorism.
mhm, and then what do you tell yourself about that?
Um, Maybe it related to how he might be from the Middle East or something like that, like Al Qaeda or one of those radical groups. Like
Uh-huh.
somebody would probably think.
And then what do you okay, so what do you want to believe? What would you as Connor like to believe?
Um, I would like to believe that. he was just mentally ill, and it wasn't an act of terrorism. But
Yeah. Because why? What would that do for you?
and I feel like that would just cause more, race like problems in society, like with people, looking at certain groups of people and in that type of way.
Hmm. So meaning that if he's mentally ill, then
Hmm.
that's kind of an explanation to say, okay, this guy's, which he is mentally ill, right? I mean that like you, anybody who would do that, that would be a definition of mental illness, right? But
Yeah.
you know, but in other words, but if he is mentally ill, that would mean like, okay, there's an explanation for that, and
Yeah.
okay, we can avert some of the hate, right?
Mhm.
Um, do you know, are you friends with people from the Middle East? I don't mean like their ancestry is from the Middle East, but are you friends with anybody? Like close friends?
Um, yeah, I have a few friends that I met this year actually up at Penn State. But that's about it. I didn't have many back home. I like my school wasn't super diverse.
Uh-huh.
So that was like something that's different from there and up at Penn State for sure.
Yeah. And when you and what does like having friends like, or meeting some people, right? What does that do for you?
I don't know. I really like meeting like the different people from like all across the world. Like I've met people from like India, Russia, like Italy and stuff, and like it's just like fun to hear like what their life was like. And I mean, a lot of them are like super open to talking about it. And it just like gives me a broader view of the world, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, just like them being here gives them a broader view of the world, right?
Hmm.
I mean, there are a lot of people that come here to school that have never left their country until they came here.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, they're as much in culture shock as you would be if you went to school, I don't know, in Pakistan or India or Saudi Arabia or Brazil. So the other day on Saturday, I went down to the Flight 93 Memorial down in Shanksville. And I went there actually after 9/11. Just about a month later, my wife and I drove down. But now there's an actual memorial, and we went down. And I was walking through this little museum there, and I came upon this photo that Jeff and Nisha are gonna put up right now. And it was all of the 9/11 um, hijackers. And what I said to myself when I looked at them, as I kind of looked at each one really carefully, I say, you know what? I've met somebody who looks like each one of those people. I know somebody. I've met somebody, or I know somebody who kind of looks like, not exactly, but they kind of look like those people. So for me, when I see them, I just don't have a deep visceral fear. But what I said to my wife was, man, I could see why Americans would be so afraid to get on an airplane with somebody a gentleman from the Middle East, right? Or why they would just be afraid, right after 9/11 in particular, when I look at these faces, right? Okay. Um, and so it was just kind of this sense of like, man, I can see that. If you never had any experience at all, if you never sat down and talked to people, if you never just didn't have any sense of where people are coming from or whatever it is, I just could really get the sense of that visceral fear. And it kind of goes with what I was talking about last class, with immigration, right? And like knowing where immigrants are coming from. So anyway, so Connor, can you bring Mr. Rashidi in also? Rashidi, you can turn your camera on, and I want I want the two of you actually to have a conversation, but so uh, hang on one second. We'll bring you both on the screen in a second. There we go, man. Hey, Connor, meet Mr. Rashidi.
How's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So his real name is Abdul Kabir Rashidi, but he's Mr. Rashidi to me because it's just better. So Connor, I want to just say something about Rashidi. so he's in Afghanistan. He lives in Kabul, and he's in charge of our Kabul World in Conversation dialogues. But I met Mr. Rashidi 5 years ago.
Yes, it was, yeah, 5 years.
And so he's not gonna. He will not. I don't think he likes it when I say this, but of all the human beings who I've met from around the world and all of my travels and all of my life, I think Mr. Rashidi is actually the kindest human being I've ever met.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, you're always kind to me.
Well, how can I not be? I would feel it's literally like doing something mean to a little bunny rabbit or something. You know what I mean? So, Connor, I want you you have a chance to. So here's Mr. Rashidi, who's Muslim. He's in Afghanistan. So many Americans would be afraid of him, and you have an opportunity to ask him any question you want about anything and about his kindness, about whatever. So just what would you ask?
What do you think like causes like where like do you think it's less of like for certain like I don't know, how do I word this, like for certain people to go and like do things like the people who did like the terrorism on 9/11, like I feel like it's more, it comes down to, instead of like a race or like religion thing like a lot of Americans do, I think it's more of the people themselves. But like what do you think that comes down, like what do you think causes that? Where do you think that stems from? And do you think that it has anything more to do with people?
Well, here, hang on, stop with that first question. Go ahead. That's actually a really good question. Yeah.
Yes. First of all, let me talk about our community. We are a country 99 point maybe 4 or 5% Muslim community, but we have everyday explosion in our city. Yes, it's because of, I don't know what's the cause, but we have exploded terrorist attacks in Kabul and many other cities of Afghanistan. Yeah, I don't know what's the reason. I myself, but I love being human at first, not religious, not far right or maybe extremist. At first, you should be human and love human. I don't know the cause, what cause, yeah, but maybe people are circled by many things like religion and all things that they will do something wrong. They treat it definitely, maybe if I go to any other countries, maybe they treated me differently because of that. Maybe it will be a cause, but I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think that like, so do you think that maybe some of like what's happening back in Afghanistan, you said there were like bombings, were often,
Yes.
you think a lot of it stems from that and what's happening in the country itself? Like,
yes, maybe you know it is about 4 decades of war ongoing in Afghanistan. People are both sides, and our military sides are both are Muslim, and the Taliban or ISIS or other extremist groups who are fighting against our government, they're all Muslim. They start their fighting or their war with shouting Allah Akbar. Yeah, both sides. But yeah, every action, what they're doing is not perfect. Yes, they kill people. Yes, they all say we are Muslim, but none of them are Muslim, real Muslim, because real Islam says all the humans are brothers and sisters. Yeah, the exact meaning of Islam, which I learned from George W. Bush, is peace.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I learned this from George W. Bush.
Wow, did you?
He said that Islam means.
Bush?
Yeah. That's awesome, by the way. Yeah. Hey, so Connor, when you think about all the wars that Christians have been involved in, right? Like how do you see that? Like how do you like look at World War II as an example, or World War One, or God, almost any other war we've been part of.
Um, I feel like it's definitely it came down to like tensions in the country, like our own country, like we felt like inequality or something, like we felt that, you know, for, you know, the one instance, like Germany was going to try and take over the world, so, you know, we felt like we had to do something about that. So maybe, you know, these radical groups, you know, like ISIS and whatnot, like they feel like they need to eradicate in some sort of way like that, like they have to take action.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm. Do you think like Christians go to war because of Christianity?
I I feel like, um, well, I mean, I feel like when we've gone to war, like America itself, we were fighting for freedom or like our beliefs, but like just Christianity itself, I'm not like sure if like
Yeah.
that's what we're fighting for exactly.
Yeah. I know. No one's ever sure what anyone's fighting for. Mr. Rashidi, do any Muslims actually go to war because of Islam? Or is it because of
No,
other
no,
things?
no, no. There's other thing. Yeah, I don't know the exact what they are going to, but mostly they recruited because of other. They say Americans come to kill Muslims. American come to, yes, like this kind of things that American come to say us not for not being Muslim. Yeah, they changes to other religions or maybe like that. They recruit their soldiers because of with this things.
Yeah. 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 Huh. Connor, do
But
you have any? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
yes,
No, go ahead. Continue.
yeah. I was saying that no Muslim and no religion. I let me tell that clear that all religions comes to help us for being good. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
see to every religion, they tell us being good human, being a good person in your society. But when we encounter with the other religions, what they do against us, yes, it makes us a problem, and they tell us who are talking about the Islam and the leaders. Let me clear it. The leaders tell us that yeah, they come to kill us. They come to take our religion and convert us to other religion. Because of that, we should fight and defeat them.
That's
Yeah,
you know what? That's what people here say to get Americans to go fight is that the Muslims or other people want to come and convert us all and take our religion away. And that gets Americans all really angry and want to go out and kill Muslims or whoever else it is. It's crazy, isn't it? Connor, do you
yeah.
have any any final question for Mr. Rashidi? Remember, he's the kindest human being I've ever met in my life. So,
Any advice for being kind?
Thank you.
great question. Ask that again. That's a good
Any
question.
advice for being kind to everyone?
Yeah, love is the best thing yet to think about, and love everyone. Yeah, I think that, but I don't know the exact. What some says, I'm really kind. I don't know about. I'm a human. I want to be a good human.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you too.
yeah. Okay, Mr. Rashidi. Hey, can you tell the class sometimes when they have to wake up really early for Afghan dialogues? Can you tell them how important it is for students in
Yes,
Afghanistan?
I always tell to my students in Afghanistan, yeah, what American brings to over 120,000 troops in Afghanistan, that was not, yes, enough good, yeah, like our dialogues. Yeah, now our dialogues make a good relation between United States. Yeah, now people in Afghanistan know the people in the United States are kind and really good people. Yeah, because of the dialogues. Yeah, we see the people who are. Before I did into the dialogues, I watched American movies and I saw military forces in Afghanistan. I that Americans like when they see them, they will shoot them. Yeah, talking with your son, which you are in my colleagues in working this. My working and with working conversation, I realized that Americans are really good and kind people.
Hey, we realize the same thing talking to Afghans because most Afghans are just they're like you. People all over the world they're not as kind as you, but they're just like you. So we see the same thing. It's really
Thank you,
people
sir.
are similar all over.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not that much kind.
Yeah, you know
say,
that. Yeah, you know that. All right. Well, listen, Mr. Rashidi, thank you for staying awake, and we're going to move on to the next segment. Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, thank you
class gets to meet you.
To you, Sam. I'm really sad for the shooting, incident, what happened in the United States, and people killed. Yes, I hope one day there is no killing and shooting because of religion and other things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Too.
thanks, Connor. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hey, man, just like what a wild world. Anyway, class, that was the infamous, lovely human, also known as Mr. Rashidi, Abdul Kabir Rashidi. Hey, let's move on to our next segment. And I think Allison is going to come on. Again, the class is pointing fingers, and hey, let's do the second top hat right now while Jeff and Nish are bringing Allison on. Top hat number 2, friends. Number 2, numero dos. If you're checked va, and that's how it is. So it is going up. It's up right now. Hey, Jeff, you can bring Allison on. Allison, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing quite well. What'd you think about Mr. Rashidi?
He was very kind. I liked him.
Yeah, he's really there's nobody like him, man. I'm telling you. If I learned from him. So I have certain, you'll also get a chance to have a conversation with Bassem. But hey, listen, who I learn other things from. So where are you from? Bethlehem, it is?
Yes.
Bethlehem,
Pennsylvania.
Have you ever been to Bethlehem in the West Bank?
I have not. I want to.
Okay, go sometime. It's a cool city.
Yeah, my grandpa was Jewish, so he always talked about wanting to go there. But
it's very cool
to go.
Yeah, it's a lovely city, lovely people. Yeah, lovely people, very kind, very generous. Hey, I mean, this is it's I went with, this is Palestine, right? I mean, it's the West Bank and Palestine, and I went with my Jewish friend, and we had just really had a lovely time. Hey, so I want to talk about who's hating. Okay, so can you put that first slide up? So Allison, watch the live stream, And this is a headline from CNN, right? White supremacy and hate are haunting Asian Americans. Okay. Really just the bold thing. And I've been listening to a lot of stuff about, the anti-Asian attacks and just people really, really going after white people. I was listening to something on the BBC and there were 3 commentators. Just, my God, just like really, really going after white people. Okay. So here, go with the next slide if you could. So in 2020, New York City received reports. So attacks on Asians, hate crime attacks are up, but attacks on Asians in particular. New York City received reports of 265 confirmed hate crimes, right? And it's got to be confirmed, right? Because anyone could just sort of say there's a hate crime, but you have to really follow it up to see. And they made 93 arrests for these crimes. And these kinds of crimes often, it's not easy to make arrests, right? But how many of the people that they arrested were white? And so you can bring Allison back on. So that's my question for you. Okay. So how many, what's your thinking about that? They made 93 arrests. Like, what's your gut feeling? Like, how many of them are white, given just white supremacy and,
I would, if I were to guess, I'd say like at least half or more than half.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more than half.
And so think about the headline, right? The CNN headline, right? Which is white supremacy and hate are haunting Asian Americans. So what's the story you tell yourself when you think about the attacks, hate crime attacks and hate crimes against Asians? And that number is all hate crimes. It's not just Asians, right? It's all hate crimes. But what's the story you tell yourself?
That this hate is stemming from like white people, and they're like taking hate out on different like minority groups.
And and why is that? Like, what is that? What's that about?
I wish I could tell you what it's about.
Well, what do you think? Like, what do you say? Like, when you think, because you're white, right? And I'm white, and you just hear this stuff about white supremacy and this white system and white racism, and it's just, bearing down on so many people, right? It's Black people and Black Lives Matter and the police, and it's Asians, attacks on Asians. Like, what do you tell yourself? Like, what's your,
I guess it like has to do a lot with like how you were brought up. Like, it affects your image of hate in your mind.
Mm-hmm. And so what compels white people to engage in these attacks? Like, what is?
Maybe because they think that like some certain minority groups don't deserve like as much as them or something.
I
don't know.
I don't know, dude. By the way, no, go ahead. Say that again.
I just said I don't know where it stems from.
So so you said that it seems like you would say more than half or a little more than half are white people, right? Okay, so of those crimes, right? 20 of them, and you could put this up. You guys can put this up if you want. So 20 of those crimes were directed toward people of Asian ancestry. And how many of these 20 people, right? 20 of those crimes are directed at people of Asian ancestry. But by the way, so let me just say this. How many of these were white people, the ones who attacked Asians? So, Allison, what's your gut feeling?
How many, like a percent or?
Yeah, just how many? There's 20 people.
20 of those hate crimes.
20 of those hate crimes are directed toward people of Asian ancestry. Of the 20, how many were white?
10 or 11.
Yeah, okay.
10. Am I off? I don't know.
All right, so here, of the 93 arrests that New York City was able to make in 2020, 21 of those people were white. Okay, so you said half or a little over half, so somewhere between around 50 or so, right? In fact, 21 were white people. Now, what does that story? What story do you have? Like only 21 of them are white, right? Less than a quarter. No, yeah, less than a quarter. So what story do you have? Okay, there are these hate crimes that are happening. People are being attacked for a wide range of reasons, right? Based on their religion, their ethnicity, their culture, their race, their gender identification. And white people are committing less than a quarter of those attacks. And I think when you said it's about half, most Americans, when we ask most Americans, they're going to say, yeah, it's about half, right?
Yeah.
It's not half. It's less than a quarter. What do you make of that? What story do you have for that? Who's committing the crimes? Who's doing this?
I guess it's like more of an eye-opener that racism isn't just like within like white people. You can be like racist towards people no matter the color of your skin. So it's not just like mainly white people doing these hate crimes. And I guess that's like a shocking kind of statistic to hear, because we just automatically assume that like, white supremacy, that all the white people are doing these hate crimes. So it's kind of an eye-opener, I guess.
Yeah.
That could be alive. Racism is alive in like anyone.
Yeah. Exactly. It is an eye-opener, really. So here, let me go back. So I want to read the headline again, the CNN headline, right? And it's CNN, right? So white supremacy and hate are haunting Asian Americans. White supremacy and hate are haunting Asian Americans, right? So 20 of those hate crimes in New York City, 20 of the ones for which they caught a perpetrator, so 93, they caught of the 93, 20 of them were directed toward Asian Americans, okay? Of those 20 people, I asked you how many were white, and you said maybe 10. I think you said 10, right? Maybe 11, I don't know, half. Okay, yeah. The answer is 2. 2, right? So the others were, there were 5 who were Hispanic, light-skinned Hispanic. There were 2 that were Black Hispanic. Remember, Hispanic is an ethnicity, right? And there were 11 who were Black, and 2 were white. Okay, so now the question I have for you is, hey, now what? Think of the CNN headline, right? And think of the article. It's like, oh, it's about white people. So how do you explain that? Like, where would you go with that in your mind?
So I'm not sure. So like maybe the article title was misleading then, because it said like white supremacy is stemming the Asian hate crimes, but it doesn't really. It's like kind of misleading because most of the crimes were not done by white people.
Well, here, let me say this, right? Whoever wrote the article probably has no idea what the data are across the United States, okay? I suspect that New York City isn't very different from anywhere else. I mentioned this last week, right? White people engage in all sorts of criminal activity, and they engage in hate crimes and so on and so forth, right? But so do lots of other people, and nobody ever bothers, right? That it's not just one CNN headline. I could have pulled in headlines from the BBC or from Fox News or wherever I needed to, and it would be a very similar thing. So most people never really bother to look, because the assumption is just that this is really a white hate thing, right? This is what it is. And this is systemic racism, and this is whatever it is. So go further with it. Hey, by the way, hold off 1 second, pause while you're coming up with your thoughts about this, right? And remember, Allison, you can't be racist here. So I just need you to just flow. This is a data collection thing. Hey, class, we need one more volunteer for today. And ideally it would be a woman who is brown. Could be black or brown woman. It doesn't really matter. So ideally we have one volunteer. Ideally it's someone who hasn't volunteered yet. So all you got to do is send put something in the chat. I don't know how do you want to do it? Joy, Niche, whatever you guys want to do.
Filling out the form would be best.
Yeah, but we can't do that. It's too fast. Just put something in the chat and you guys can send something to her. Can we do that?
Yeah, shooting me a whisper would be fine too.
Send a whisper to Joy in the chat.
Look out for the message I'm about to drop for
She's
my
gonna
name.
drop a
I'm
message in
Redizola,
there.
if no one knows.
Dude.
But I'll drop a message so someone can just click on it and send me a whisper or just respond right there.
Awesome, man. Hey, Allison. So yeah, what else? Where do you go with that? As a the whole, just like this wave of assumptions about white violence and white racism and white hatred and white supremacy. It's like, where do you go with it?
I mean, white supremacy, I still think it is like very real, but I think that a lot of people assume when they see like the headlines on CNN and all these major like news organizations, I think that they automatically assume their mind is going towards, okay, well, another white person like shot up this place and another white person did this and that. And most of the time, I guess this was an eye-opener because it might not be like white people all the time. And I'll even admit, like, I fall victim to like those assumptions. Like, even as a white person, I assume a lot of the time that it's white people doing these hate crimes too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not striking. Are you surprised that you would, so as you said, fall victim to it? Or are you surprised that you would say a similar thing?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not surprised. I just assume that it would be like white people that are doing these crimes.
Yeah, because it's what we hear, right? Okay, so let me ask you this. I see it everywhere, right? It's just the thing. Okay, so of the hate, what group is more like, so this is just New York City now. What group is more likely to be the victims of hate crimes than any other group? Think about race, culture, religion, gender.
In New York City?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know like the demographics of like how many.
Give it a shot.
Well, from that article, like Asian Americans.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like there was a lot of Asian American hate going on in New York City.
Yeah, well, the CNN article wasn't just about New York; it was about the U.S.
Oh.
Yeah. Give me one group. So Asians could be.
Yeah.
What else? Any other group?
Black people.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, can you put up that word? So we're gonna put here's this word graph. I forget what you call these things, but so here it is. Right in the middle, big and large, Jewish people.
Oh.
Right, and then black. Secondly, black, male, homosexual, gay, all kind of goes together. Asian, and then you just see it's all. So if you add up transgender, LGBT, mixed, gay, lesbian, female, homosexual, gay, then that's probably could end up being the largest group actually, or gender non-conforming. Yeah, you add all those together, it's probably the largest. But anyway, yeah, that's what it is in New York City, right? So those are the victims. Kind of interesting. All right, listen, Allison, thanks. What's your takeaway from that, by the way? What's your takeaway from that?
My main takeaway is that assuming is not always good. Making assumptions about any kind of race is not always good, because even like if you assume these things about white people, you have to check your facts first before you assume things that it's automatically like white people who are doing these crimes.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think that we're all just like so used to that. Like it's just in our minds that like white people are hating on minority groups. So we're all just like used to making those assumptions.
well, again, it's not good to, so certainly it's not good to turn around and say it's not happening, because that's also happening. White people do a lot of nefarious things. But the problem is we're never going to resolve this issue of discrimination, hate, stereotyping, prejudice, until we really look at the whole thing all linked together. And it's just kind of lazy to just point our fingers in one direction all the time. So, hey, listen, thanks for coming on.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love this class.
All right. Well, awesome. Awesome. All right. Be well. Yeah. Hey, by the way, nobody gave a whisper out. Can somebody, we need one more volunteer. Oh, a black or brown woman, ideally. So, no, we'll hold off on the next top hat. Hey, let's bring Lamar on. Lamar, you are soon to be in the game. There you are. Look at that, man. Let me hop out of the way. Welcome to class. You can unmute. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
So you're not enrolled in the class. You're just watching the class.
Yeah, I usually watch my girlfriend because she's in the class, and I'll kind of just be sitting here doing homework or something. I'll just kind of listen in.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining today. So I want to have what'd you think about that last thing? Were you surprised at the numbers?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I found it, I don't know, kind of interesting though.
Yeah. It's how we just keep. What was interesting about it?
I think the most interesting thing was the last thing you showed, the little graphic. I don't remember what they're called either, but where Jewish was at the top, because of all the things on there, that's one of the like I never understood. Like I know how people can be racist. I know how people can be homophobic. I know how people can be Islamophobic, but I kind of don't know. I kind of have some ideas on like racist things people like. I know like certain actions that they can do, but I just don't quite understand at all. Like I kind of like I've met racist people and I've like kind of talked to them and I've heard why they're racist or whatever, but I just don't get why somebody is against Jewish people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know myself. There are a lot of things I don't understand about human beings. Hey, so listen, let me, do any volunteers yet?
Nope.
Yo, hey, we need a black or brown woman to hop on. Y'all, we got a lot of people out there. It's actually a really cool segment. Actually, it's going to be about hair. So it's going to be really cool. And nobody's going to be on the spot. It's going to be very, very interesting. So ideally a black or a brown woman, ideally a black woman. Yeah, it's going to be cool. So hop on. Okay, you can, if you've been on before, you can come back on. Doesn't matter. All right, listen, Lamar, I want you to see this graph that we're going to put up. Take a look at this. So this is the share of Americans who plan to get the vaccine. Okay, and in May 2020, the numbers were starting at the top: 91, 74, 74, 54. And then in February 2021, our most recent data, this was right at the end of February, Look at the numbers still, right? 91, 70, 69, 61. So what's notable is that Hispanic and white people went down, right? Probably, I don't know why, but the really look at how black people went from 54 way down, and way down is like 41 or something, up to 61. So can you, Lamar, look at those are pretty significant differences, man. That's like a 30-point difference between black people and Asian people currently, right? Can you, and this is just in the United States, can you put a story to that?
I guess, I guess if you had asked me to put it in order, this is probably what I would have guessed. I know, at least for myself, I'll kind of say that I'm a little hesitant to get the vaccine, and I think that's just I don't know. I don't know if I can't really speak for everybody, but at least for me, I'm kind of afraid of. I don't really trust. I feel like in the healthcare system there can be some racism there, and like I don't want to be like a experiment or anything. I don't know, like the I don't know how to pronounce it, like the Tuskegee study. Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't know. I just have a hard time. If I'm being honest, I have a hard time trusting white people. So I don't know if I want to get the vaccine.
So listen. So the Tuskegee study is when, people made. Can you just say what that is really fast?
If I remember exactly, it's I think that they had something. And they said that, like the doctors, whatever, said that they were going to treat them, but I think they just wanted to see what happens if they had whatever disease they had, but it was untreated. Yeah. So they pretended that they were giving them stuff, and they actually weren't.
Yeah, we had a lot of those regarding like various diseases, syphilis, and so on. Yeah. Okay, so one story that you have, can you give how about another story? Can you like add on to it, or another chapter or something?
Like for me specifically, or just?
Yeah, just for these data, like what's going on out there in the black community, man. So one is that people are distrustful of the profession.
Yeah. I mean, I think, because I don't even know if I think it's like I'm kind of on the same page with my family too. So I think, like if my family is all kind of saying, don't, then I feel that can kind of influence a lot of people. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of other issues. So maybe people aren't really, like some people aren't even really thinking about the vaccine. I don't know.
I mean, some black people or all people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess all people, but I was kind of saying like some black people maybe.
Yeah. What are they thinking about? What do you mean they're not thinking about it?
I don't know. At least for me, I feel like a lot of like the different things I hear about, like since coming to school, I kind of didn't really hear about at home.
Got it.
Like I feel like the issues were kind of different, and I still kind of see that when I go back home. Like obviously the pandemic is going on, and I'm like aware of that, but kind of what's in the forefront are like different issues that we're having in our community.
Yeah. And where are you from?
I'm from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Okay. Where in Pittsburgh? What part?
I've moved around a lot. Like I'm on like my 21st like place right now, but we've lived in Pittsburgh, like on the same, like on the east side of Pittsburgh, but we kind of moved to different places a lot.
All right. Got you. So listen, let me ask you this, right? What story do Asians have? 91% of Asians and the people of Asian ancestry in the US are saying, yep, we're getting the vaccine. Like, what do they know, or what are they thinking that Black Americans don't know? And by the way, Native Americans are least likely to be interested in getting the vaccine. They just didn't collect data on American Indians, but I will tell you that, right? It's a big issue on the res right now. So what are Asians saying?
I would guess maybe they don't want to, because I imagine people are probably, especially like whenever this was all like beginning, people were kind of like hesitant to people were being racist, towards Asian people, like maybe assuming that they have like the coronavirus or something like that, or they're like more likely to. I've like heard people, like say things like that. So maybe it's like, yeah, as soon as this vaccine comes out, I want to get the vaccine. So, if somebody said that, they can just say that they're vaccinated. Like they don't want to be, like I kind of worried a lot because I felt like, especially with school, like a lot of things are kind of uncertain. And so I was always afraid that like if I got a positive test or something, I would be, taken away by some men in black at my dorm. So, I imagine that, maybe some Asian people kind of don't want that to happen and to ensure that they get the vaccine.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, Niche could say something about that. She was in quarantine last week. She didn't test positive, but it's just like, you will be in this room up here, it's as close to a Men in Black thing as you're going to get. So I guess I have a question. So I'm thinking about this issue about like kind of who's to blame, right? So okay, so Black people have a history of being used as guinea pigs in a certain sense, right? Of being used by the research, the establishment here in the United States, the government, right? There are all sorts of reasons why I wouldn't be very trustful of the government if I were Black or brown, right? But at what point in time do you then say, but hang on a second, this is a different world right here. Y'all gotta like pay attention. You know what I mean? Like, are you paying attention to the vaccine and what's going on? Like we're not putting little microchips in it and putting them in your bodies and all that kind of stuff, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I do kind of try to stay up to date, and things seem to be cool beans, but I'm just still, I don't know, like the joke I always had with my mom is like before Corona was like, if something like this happened, like we would always just wait, like I don't know how long we would say, a couple months, maybe more, just to see what happens first before we actually do it.
Well, you can see like how it dipped down to about 40% in the Black community, and then it's now back up to over 60, right? Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, like, it's kind of interesting, right? That Black people and hardcore Trump supporters and like QAnon people are thinking the same way here on this, about this vaccine. And
I mean, it's nice we can finally agree on one thing. I don't know. I don't know. I'm always like better safe than sorry,
Well, okay. Well, we've got enough time now. It looks like it's pretty safe. I got my first shot, by the way, my first jab, and as best as I can ascertain, I'm all right. I did the wait list. I went really early and I got myself on a wait list somewhere and I just hung out until I got it, So, hey, but let me tell you this though. You said something that's actually really valuable. It's worth saying. The very first thing you said about you're kind of a little bit skeptical of the medical establishment, right? Do you have any data on that, about where that comes from? Is this just your own like kind of sense of things, or do you actually have data on it?
I don't have data. I mean, I've heard that there is like something with like doctors treating Black people differently than they would white people, but just like from my experience, I think it's just like from my community and the people I've been around, like the people older than me and like me kind of just like listening and stuff. And then my experiences, like I've had like, the last time I went to like, go to the hospital and stuff, it was just like a lot of money that I like could not afford and stuff. So that's also like kind of a big factor in things when it comes to health concerns.
Yeah, I hear that. So one of the things, let me just put this out there. We've actually done a lot of research on how people are treated differently in hospitals, in doctors' offices, in health clinics, and so on. And you know, you don't just ask people, right? Because I can't just ask you, like, hey, have you been are you treated differently than you would be if, you know, you were a woman, or if you were Jewish or Muslim or white or whatever? It's like, you don't know that, you have no idea. But we set up these very carefully laid out experiments, right? And we're watching and we're assessing. And when we do that, we do see that people, that some people, right, Black and brown people, are very often treated differently. And like one thing, for example, is like people, it's subconscious even, it's not conscious, right? It's like if I'm a doctor, I'm not looking at you and I'm treating you consciously differently. But what we see is systematically for so many people, not everybody, right? But for, you know, we see this, that you will be more likely to be seen, perceived to be able to tolerate pain more than, say, I would. So you would be less likely to get a strong painkiller. Let's say that you had something going on, that you'd be less likely to get a strong painkiller, or to get a full 3 weeks of a painkiller, or any number of things than me, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, stuff like that. Less time with the doctor, less time, people giving you, less likely to say, hey, you know, you should go get a second opinion or do this, whatever the case is, right? We see that. And so that kind of sense that you have about, you know, I need to be really careful. I need to really be my own advocate, for sure, as a Black man in the healthcare system. It's probably it's a wise thing, you know. Yeah, there's again, it's not everywhere, but it exists. And yeah, so that, hey, by the way, here's an interesting thing, you know, with the opioid crisis, right? I used to have an article on this that I used in class, but it's actually, this discrimination actually benefited Black people, because doctors were less likely to prescribe large dosages of opioids like Oxy. And so many fewer Black people got hooked on Oxy than the white counterparts, which is ironic, right? It's like, strangely enough, racism protected many people of who are Black and brown. So who would have thought, right? So just as an example. Hey, any final thoughts? Actually, save your final thoughts. I want to bring you back on. I want to have you come back on when Ernso is here. So hold tight. It may be next Tuesday. We'll let you know. It's either going to be Thursday or next Tuesday. Just try to keep those open if you could. All right. I think it'd be good to have you meet him. All right, man. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Be well. Yeah, you know, like this is the thing, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's happening that, you know, if you're not studying, like, you know, you can have the conversations in certain communities, but if you're not studying it, you don't really know what the data are. And some things are actually a little bit more troubling than we imagine they are. Hey, let's do the third top hat right now. It's going to go up in just a few seconds here. And while it's going up, let's bring our fourth volunteer on, top hat is up, my friends. Khadijah, you can turn your camera and your mic on. You are, oh man, awesome. Nice to, hey, welcome back. Yeah. Wait, hang on. Is your mic on? Oh. Ah, there we go. All right. Awesome. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
All right.
Hey, you know what? Because I'm a knucklehead, I forget how you pronounce your name. I thought it was Khadijah.
Khadijah.
Khadijah. All right.
Yeah.
All right, got it. Hey, so I have something for you, right? So I want to like have a conversation with you about resolving a problem. Okay. So what year are you?
I'm a junior.
Junior. Okay. So you've been in state college. Have you been up here? Is this your third year?
Yes, it's my third year. I've been here for a minute.
Well, 2.5, because you weren't here in the fall, really. That doesn't really count. But okay, so where do you go for hair? Where do you go for hair products? Like, what do you do? Like,
I go to the beauty supply store. I mean, like nowadays they actually do start selling like black hair products like in Walmart and stuff like that. But like I'm always so used to going to like the local beauty supply store that's usually like a weird like area in a weird plaza right next to like the Chinese store. I feel like we all have it. Owned by like the Asian people, and it's like they have all the products that you need from like various like companies, stuff like that.
Yeah. Who so this has been like a long-standing issue, and as long as longer than my time at State College. I came in 1990. So black students who've just been like, and you know, black men finding someone to cut your hair, I mean, please, right? And for you finding, you know, I mean, who does your hair? Who works on your hair? Do you have friends back home? Like, what do you?
Okay, so if I was going to get like single braids, which is just basically like the braids, like individual braids you might see like a lot of black people, then yes, I go to a specific person and go get that done because it just tends to be faster. However, if I'm doing stuff like this with my hair, I just do it myself. Like I braid my own hair. Like the hair I did for myself, I did it myself because like first of all, it's just cheaper and it's a lot more time efficient, not having to go anywhere. And like so I taught myself how to do that because
and it beats like if you don't, and for a long time, like when you can't find anybody up here, you got to go back home, right? If you got to wherever you're from, I mean, you gotta, you know, because everybody has somebody that they go to.
Yeah.
So one of the so a longstanding issue here is there have not been ready access to hair supplies, right? I mean, it's just not. And so, you know, Walmart sell, different stores sell them, but they have a small section, right? There's always, I mean, it's large. Maybe Walmart's now is larger. I don't know, but it's always been, there's like a little small thing. Here's like, you know, there's like a whole aisle for white folks, you know what I mean? And then for black folks, there's just these two little rows right here, like 2 meters, and like, all right. And so then you got to go with, okay, now you got to jump in. Like, what do you do, right? And so for all my time here, one thing that for black students have just endlessly been frustrated with this, and really has been a real turnoff about State College, right? It's just a problem because they can't get hair products, they can't find people to work in their hair, et cetera, and it's just been a problem, right? But in one time, somebody opened up a beauty supply place, right? Some black students did about 10 years ago, and it lasted a couple years and then it went away, right? But the thing that I hear from black students often is like, that's the problem with State College. Like, it's the problem. Like, State College is the problem. You know what I mean? Because there should be black beauty supplies. And I'm wondering, like, how is that a problem of State College? So here, I want to ask you, like, if an Asian family came in and opened up a black beauty supply store, and they had every product available, man. I mean, like the top 500 products from around the world, and they sold them there. What do you think black people would say about that?
I'll be completely honest. I probably would not have much to say about it. And I feel like the people around me would not have much to say about it because that's what we're used to. Like, I'm telling you, I don't think I've been to a single beauty supply store that was not owned by an Asian person. Yeah. Seriously, like that's just how it tends to be. And like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it like a black beauty supply store, but maybe like just a multicultural one. It just has hair products for anybody else who's not white. But I personally don't think that any black people on campus would have anything to do about it. I just imagine that maybe reasons why it didn't work is because maybe prices were a lot higher than like probably what you would buy at Walmart in that small little 2-row section, or just like not remembering the fact that like you want to like support like black businesses, other like maybe like black products to make sure that it like stays alive and well. So like I'm not exactly sure the reason for why it might have collapsed.
Yeah, I got you. We actually used it. I used this article in the Times about beauty supply stores in Chicago, and like this sort of, you know, the degree to which the Asian community is so invested in that. So what is just a question, I guess, on. So this is one of the struggles, right? Let me just say, I'm going to kind of dig right in. One of the struggles here in State College is that it's, historically been a really white community, and lots of Black and brown people have been reluctant to come here because it's so white, right? Mm-hmm. I'm reluctant to be here because it's so white. When my wife and I came here, we never thought we were going to stay because we were just used to really diverse communities. And one of the reasons, but it's been okay for us because we travel so much, right? And we're just spent so much time away from here. But we're uncomfortable with the level of just white culture per se. You know what I mean? But one of the things that we've always said, or we've always heard, and lots of people say is, listen, man, but it's not going to change if people don't stay. You know what I mean? Like, you got to stay. Or you got to open a store. You know what I mean? Like, open a store, like open a salon, do what you got to do. Like, don't wait for somebody else to do it. You do it and stay here. And then the place becomes more multicultural. So I guess I want to ask you, like, to what degree do you think about that? Do you think similarly? It's like, yeah, like, stop complaining, change your behavior, do something, do something. I don't know. Like, I just want to know, like, just for you, right?
Yes, actually, like, I strongly agree. Like, I feel like one main things for me is, like, you'll meet a lot of Black people around you who like sell food and stuff like that. They'll like cook and like they'll sell them and stuff like that. But it's more like a personal thing. Even like you'll find Black people that do hair. You just have to know someone who knows somebody. Yeah. However, there's no like specific like landmark that you can go to. Even like one of my friends like was looking for someone just to like dye their hair, and like finding Black people who know how to dye Black hair properly is hard to come by. How to braid hair, it's hard to come by. So yeah, you're right. Like, the issue arises that like Black people don't want to stay. 4 years in, we do what we need to do, maybe 5 years for masters, and then we're out. And then that's typically how it goes. Or if we are here, we're here for academics. We didn't come here to start something. So I feel that like the main issue that arises is that like maybe starting something would not be an issue. And like, I am definitely like a huge advocate for that. Maybe like starting like maybe like a Southern food place, like Black food or African food, having like a hair place that also has like a beauty salon attached to it. Like, I am for that. It's just that who takes over after you're done your 4 years? Because like me personally, like my major would probably bring me to a whole nother state across the country and stuff like that. And probably like the outcome of it would probably be a lot, like, I guess you say like financially more beneficial for the future that I'm looking for myself. But now where do you go from there after you're done your 4 years? Who takes over? I feel like it's just kind of starting that legacy and continuing is with the issue that we all fall into.
Yep. Or, but it doesn't have to be students, right? It could be anybody who just says, like, yeah, I'm going to go invest in this community. Do you wonder, like, do you ever think about that with Black professors here? Like, why there aren't more, why we don't have more Black professors than we do?
You're assuming I see Black professors.
Yeah, okay, all right, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm engineering, so like I had one.
You have brown professors, right?
yeah, I have brown professors, but Black professors. I had like one Black female professor for like engineering mechanics, which was like surprising. But and then I also had like one Black professor I did like research with like my freshman year, but he actually is not here anymore. He moved on to another school. But like the Black female professor that I had for engineering mechanics, I don't know about her much. And like that's it. That's all I see.
Yeah. So this is one of the things across the board, right? That another thing that is a struggle, right? This is one of the things that people don't think about or they don't see, right? When you have a town, towns shift over certain periods of time, right? And they don't get whoever the first kind of family is, or the first group. Like, I remember when, like the first you start to see the first Muslims in town, right? And then suddenly, whoa, hang on, we're going to have a mosque, right? And then we have the first Russians came into town, and now we have this Russian Orthodox church out on West College Avenue, and the Russian community starts to grow. And then you have, this community and that community, right? But in the beginning, it's like people don't want to really kind of stick around. Like, if they don't feel comfortable, if they don't feel like they have enough of a community here, because people, it's nice to really get to know other people, but it's also really nice to have people around us with whom we can really connect, right? So like sometimes when I'm overseas, it's nice to just talk to an American. You know what I mean? It's just like, can we just talk about like what's going on? So one of the things at the other end, in a place like Penn State is like, well, people critique Penn State because it's so white, and lots of people who would come in as professors like, no, I can't really stay here. Well, then it's never going to change. You know what I mean? It's like if people just keep coming and then leaving, then it doesn't change. So it's like, okay, so whose fault is that, right? Like, what's the problem here? Like, who should change that? How do we change that? Who's responsible for it? Let me ask you this, just who's responsible for changing that?
Frankly, I don't know exactly the whole, like, I guess you say process for exactly how it would be to like start something like that at Penn State. I'll be honest, I have not inquired about it, so I don't know the whole process for and how accessible it would be for Black people. I assume that it probably wouldn't receive that much pushback if there is space for it. But whose fault is it? I mean, I would, like I said, like I didn't inquire about it, and I feel like there's a lot of other people like me who are in my position where we just don't inquire about it. So like I would definitely say it's partially our fault for just not being curious about like that specific sector.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And by the way, I'm not like, when I say fault, I don't mean that in a really negative way. I just mean like, it's more like who's responsible, right? Like, because sometimes we assume that, like, I don't know, like a community or an institution or something is responsible. And I'm like, well, we're all just acting as individuals, right? And if all the individuals are acting in our own personal self-interest, then there's not much we can do, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can offer someone a job, and if they don't want to come here, it's like, oh, well, it's too, or if admission, right? Like, you're going to go to Penn State, or you're going to go to another school that we're in a community that's more diverse. Whereas, well, I don't know, if you choose to not come here, then that's one less Black woman who's an engineering major who's going to be at Penn State. And I'm like, okay, well, there you go. Like, it's even one less person who's in the class, right? You see? And so therefore it's kind of like, it's this struggle that we have all the time, like pointing fingers, right? I think is this idea, like, I'm not hearing it, you do that in any way. I'm hearing you be very thoughtful about it, but this is one of the conundrums that we have. Of expecting things to be different, but not. Do you have any final thing? Because if not, any final thing on this?
Yes, actually. I guess that begs the question for you then what, I'm guessing you've thought about this for a while. I guess you read about it and consider, about the other place I was here for like about 10 years ago, you said. Now, what do you think that we could do to like actually start things and actually solidify and actually keep it there for like the long term? I'm guessing you've thought about it. So do you have any ideas on like what us as Black people, as like a family or just multicultural people could do in general to kind of like make our mark at this school and eventually, hopefully in the long run, bring more people to the school?
Well, like I had a couple, one of my former students was part of a team of people that opened a Caribbean restaurant in town, right? They sold lots of things, jerk chicken, all sorts of stuff, right? I didn't see many Black people in that restaurant very often, man. And I'm like, come on, y'all. Like, I mean, maybe you don't like jerk chicken. I like jerk chicken, but like what? And then, people would complain about something. Like, have you been to the restaurant down in Beaver? Like, come on, man. It's like, so, but I'm one of those guys that's always just poking, you know what I mean? I'm always just poking. So I think that State College and Penn State Top Hat's going up right in a hot second, right now, actually. But I'm one of those, I think that there is just a way in which each one of us has to look in a mirror and see the different ways in which we can take responsibility for making the changes that we want to see in the world. Yeah, I think that's really, that's something that I live on a lot. So, but it's hard, it's hard to do that. Yeah. But when I hear students talking shit about Penn State or State College, or I don't care. I mean, I'm not vested in any of it, but I'm like, hey, well, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? And I'm not talking just Black students. I'm talking to lots of people, right? It's like, well, what are you doing to make the change? So.
That's true.
All right.
Just want to thank you for bringing me on. Appreciate it for you.
Hey, thanks, man. Hey, by the way, real fast, final question to you. What'd you think about those data on hate crimes? Make sure you do the top hat, by the way.
I just did it, actually.
All right. What'd you think about the hate crime stuff?
I'm just like, there is a lot. You see stuff like that. I mean, it pops up on my notifications from New York Times, and I'm like, there's a lot of things wrong with this country that definitely needs fixing and needs addressing, and to put people in place who actually want to do things about it. So that's just what I think about it.
So what do you think about of the 20 people who were in New York City who were responsible for anti-Asian hate crimes? 10 of them were Black. 2 were Black Latinos, but just straight up Black. What do you think about that?
I will say to that there are bad people everywhere, regardless of your ethnicity, of your nationality, of your color. There are bad people everywhere. And of course, it's no surprising that there are also bad Black people. And yeah, that's all I have to say to that. Like,
dude, that's an awesome response. And that's what Mr. Rashidi said. And that's what I say. And that's what I'm always trying to do in the class is just like, listen, there are people all around that are making really poor decisions and shitty decisions. And so we can't turn around if we don't want people pointing just at white people, then we can't turn around and then point at Black people or Muslim people or Asian people or whatever. It's like we can't point anywhere. We have to just look at what's happening. Yeah. I think it's crazy, right? And I think what you said, yeah, it's crazy. I think what you said about the beauty supply, right? That people will have these kind of negative assessments of things. So there's a lot of, I don't know. Hey, final question for you. What's your ancestry? What's your background?
Both my parents are Nigerian, actually.
Awesome, man. I probably asked you, have you been to Nigeria?
Yeah, actually, I just went this past November, December for a funeral, and then I actually also went again, like I think what was it, a year ago? Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I've been there a few times.
Awesome. All right, thanks for coming back on. Appreciate it.
No problem. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful week.
Yeah, you too. We'll see you on Thursday, or you'll see me on Thursday.
See you. Bye-bye.
All right, class. So that's it. It's 4:22. Oh, we missed 4:20. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait another 12 hours. All right, so see you all. We'll see you on Thursday.